You know, it is it is such a strange and quietly heartbreaking thing to watch.
It really is. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, seeing someone you really care about, like an aging parent, try so hard to just eat well.
Yes, they sit down to the table with the best of intentions.
Right. They sit down to this big, hearty, quote unquote, healthy meal because, they know they need to keep their strength up.
And we want them to be strong. We want them to have that fuel.
Exactly. So you think, great, they are eating the huge pile of veggies, the big piece of chicken, they will stay strong. But then, almost right away, they just feel awful.
The body just sort of pushes back.
It does. The stomach gets all tight, the bloating hits, and suddenly this thing that is supposed to give them life and energy, it just turns into a chore.
A chore that they actually dread.
Yes, they dread it. And it is this crazy puzzle. Like, what happens when trying to eat healthy actually makes you feel physically sick?
That is the big question.
Mm.
And it is something we really need to talk about openly
Mm.
because it is so deeply common.
It really is, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So many folks over 60 deal with this. They start losing weight without even trying. Their appetite just vanishes.
And the clothes start getting looser.
Exactly. You notice the belt is pulled a little tighter. And it scares people. It scares the adult children watching it happen, and it scares the person going through it.
Which is why we are going into this today. We really want to unpack this struggle, because if you are seeing this happen or feeling it yourself, we need to completely change how we look at portion sizes.
We have to rethink the whole meal.
Right, because the old rules just do not work anymore.
Right.
We need to figure out how to add that crucial energy without the bloating, without the gas, without the pain.
And, the stakes here are really quite high.
They are because of the muscle loss, right?
Right. After we turn 30, our muscle mass just naturally starts to fade away, just a little bit each decade. But after 60, that fade starts to speed up a lot.
Which means you need the food even more.
Yes. To protect your bones, to keep your immune system strong, to just keep your basic daily freedom, you need consistent energy.
But at the exact moment the body needs that support the most, the desire to eat just drops off a cliff.
It is a really tough spot to be in.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Why does it happen? Like, why does a stomach that handled heavy, giant meals perfectly for 50 years suddenly just say, no thanks?
Well, it comes down to a few basic shifts inside the body. It is all connected. First, your body just stops making as many digestive juices.
The enzymes and stuff?
Exactly, the little chemical workers that chop our food into tiny pieces. When you have fewer of those workers, breaking down the food just takes much, much longer.
And I'm guessing stomach acid drops too.
Yes, that is a big part of it. The acid levels drop, which makes breaking down heavy proteins really hard. But the biggest thing, the one you really feel, is the slowdown of the muscles.
Wait, the muscles inside the stomach?
Right. The walls of your stomach and your gut, they physically squeeze and push the food along. As we age, those muscles just get a bit tired. They move slower.
So the food is just, it's just sitting there longer.
Sitting there.
Okay, so it is like, imagine trying to put premium gas into an engine, but suddenly the funnel is just half the size it used to be.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Right, like the engine still desperately needs the gas to run, but if you pour it in at the old speed from a big, heavy bucket, it just backs up and spills everywhere.
Yes. And in our bodies, that spill is the bloating. It is that awful stretched out feeling after just a few bites.
Wow. If you overwhelm the funnel, it backs up.
It does. But, what is really sad is how people react to this. Because it happens so slowly over time, people just dismiss it.
They just write it off as getting older.
Exactly. They feel tired all the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe they notice they feel cold in a room that used to feel warm.
Or a simple scratch takes weeks to heal. And they just think, well, I am just getting old, and everyone around them sort of agrees. We have this weird idea that eating like a bird is just a graceful part of aging.
But it is not graceful. It is a warning sign. The body is running low on energy. It is running on empty.
Which brings us to this massive catch-22. Because if the funnel is smaller and the food takes longer to process, how on earth do we get enough fuel into the engine?
That is the puzzle.
Especially with protein. Because everything I hear says older adults actually need more protein per meal than younger people just to keep their muscles from wasting away.
It is true. They need a louder signal to wake up the muscles.
But how does that make sense? If their stomach is slowing down and has less acid, Why would the body demand heavier, harder things like meat?
I know, it feels like a cruel joke of nature. But think of it like this. When you are 20, your muscles are so eager to grow. You eat a small piece of chicken, and boom, the body builds
The
muscle.
signal is super clear.
Right. But as we age, the muscles get stubborn. They stop listening to the quiet signals.
So you have to shout at them.
Yes. You need a higher dose of protein in the blood to get the exact same muscle-building action that a tiny piece of chicken gave you decades ago.
But that creates an awful loop for the person living it. You need more protein, but your stomach physically cannot handle a giant steak anymore.
Exactly. And if you try to force it, if you force down those traditional 3 big meals a day, you just crush the system.
The stomach just gives up.
The food ferments, it sits there, and it causes so much pain. This is why we have to bust the biggest myth about keeping our weight up.
The big plate myth.
Yes, keeping your muscles strong after 60 is not about eating huge volumes of food. If your stomach is sensitive, bigger plates will just backfire.
Because you force down a giant dinner, get super bloated, and then you feel so sick that you just skip breakfast the next day.
And lunch, sometimes.
Yeah.
You end up further behind than when you started.
You lose ground. I was actually talking to a friend about this. Her mom, she's in her 70s, and she was stuck in this exact loop.
It happens so often.
Yeah, she had zero appetite, but constantly felt bloated. So every meal was this, like, high-stress math problem.
And what changed for her?
Well, she was walking with her grandkids, and she just ran out of gas. She had to sit down on the sidewalk. She just had no strength left.
Oh, that is a scary feeling.
It terrified her. But instead of going home and trying to force down a giant roast dinner to get her strength back, which always made her sick anyway, she shifted her whole approach.
She changed the focus.
Yes. She stopped looking at the size of the meal, she stopped caring about volume, and she shifted entirely to density.
Which is the true secret to this whole thing.
Right. Because mathematically, it is amazing. If you look at carbs and proteins, they give you a certain amount of energy. But healthy fats, they give you more than double the energy in the exact same space.
More than double. It is like packing twice as much fuel into a single raindrop.
You do not need a bigger plate, you just need a smarter spoon.
That is so well said. By adding these dense, healthy fats, you get the energy you need without stretching the walls of your stomach.
Because that stretching is what causes the pain.
Right, exactly. The stretching tells the brain, I am too full, make it stop.
So for my friend's mom, the results were just incredible. She switched to small, warm, dense little bowls of food throughout the day, and she got her walking stamina back in just a few months.
And the fear of mealtime probably vanished.
It did. Which brings us to the actual toolkit, the really gentle foods. Let's talk about what these foods actually are.
Yes, let's go through them. Because there's a whole strategy here, starting with doing the stomach's work for it.
Pre-digestion. I love this idea.
It is brilliant. You break the food down outside the body, so your organs do not have to spend energy doing it inside.
And smoothies are the classic example of this. But we are not talking about a giant freezing cold cup of blended kale here.
Oh, no. That would be a shock to the system.
Right. We're talking about something very gentle, like a ripe banana, a few soaked dates, and whole milk.
The blender acts like your teeth. It crushes the cell walls of the fruit. But the really important part of the smoothie idea is how fast you drink it.
Ah, right. Pacing.
If you gulp it down in 2 minutes, you flood that small funnel all over again. You have to sip it slowly, maybe over 20 or 30 minutes.
Just a slow drip of fuel.
Exactly. It gives your stomach juices time to keep up without closing a backup.
Okay, so blending is one way to pre-digest, but soaking foods is another one that blew my mind, like taking 3 dates for a quick energy boost.
Dates are wonderful for energy and iron.
But the golden rule is they have to be soaked in water overnight first.
Yeah.
Why does plain water make such a huge difference?
Well, dates have these tough, chewy skins. If you eat them dry, your stomach has to work so hard, it has to churn and churn to break through that tough layer.
Which takes energy they don't have to spare.
Right. But when you soak them overnight, the water just melts that tough layer. It softens the whole thing. You're tearing down the walls of the food before it even reaches your mouth.
It is instantly ready to use.
The body just pulls the good stuff right out. Zero effort required.
That makes perfect sense. Now let's move to the fats. Because we said fats are the holy grail of dense energy. But there is a huge difference between types of fat.
A very big difference.
Like a spoonful of peanut butter or a little fresh coconut is amazing, but heavy, deep-fried foods are a massive red flag. Why? Why does one fat heal and the other one hurt?
It is about how hard the body has to work to process it. Fried foods, Heavy oils, they take a huge amount of effort. Your body has to release a ton of bile from the gallbladder just to mix it up.
It is a heavy tax on the system.
A huge tax.
Yeah.
And an older, slower stomach just cannot afford to pay that tax.
But then you look at something like ghee, just clarified butter.
Oh, ghee is wonderful.
You just stir a single spoonful of it into some warm rice or mashed potatoes, and it absorbs so fast.
Yes. The pieces that make up ghee are much smaller than other fats, so they just slip right through the walls of the gut. They give you instant energy, and they skip the hard work entirely.
So you get over 100 calories from one tiny spoon, and the stomach barely even notices it happened.
That is exactly what we want. Pure energy, zero friction.
And then there's the magic of yogurt. This is another really cool trick, mixing plain yogurt with soft, warm rice.
Yes, using friendly bacteria to do the heavy lifting.
We hear the word probiotics in every commercial, but what are those bacteria actually doing in a senior stomach?
Well, think of them as millions of tiny, helpful workers that you are bringing in to help your own tired workers.
I love that. Tiny helpers.
Yes. When your own juices are running low, the live cultures in the yogurt jump in and help break down the food. They ease the burden on your body. Plus, yogurt is so cooling and soothing if your stomach has been hurting.
And we also have to talk about the comfort carbs. Potatoes and bananas.
The gentle starches.
Right. Boiled potatoes mashed up with a little of that ghee or bananas. But the banana has to be really ripe, right?
Yes, that is crucial. If a banana is green, it is full of tough starches that a slow stomach cannot break down. It will just sit there and cause awful gas.
But as it gets those brown spots,
the tough parts turn into simple sweet sugars that the body just drinks right up.
It is amazing. And there is also warm finger millet porridge, sweetened with a little natural cane sugar.
Very warming, very rich in iron and calcium.
And for protein, soft scrambled cottage cheese instead of a dense piece of meat.
The cheese is already soft and broken down. The body doesn't have to fight it.
You know, what really stands out to me looking at this list, the dates, the ghee, the porridge, the yogurt, is how easy they are.
Easy to eat, easy to make.
Thus, none of this requires standing over a hot stove for an hour, and you barely even have to chew. If someone is dealing with awful fatigue, the very last thing they want to do is chew a tough piece of steak.
Chewing takes energy. These foods just slide seamlessly into your day. You're removing every single barrier to getting nourished.
But here is where we have to flip the script entirely, because adding these easy foods is only half the battle.
The other half is letting go of things.
Right. The things we have spent our whole lives believing are the absolute peak of health. This was the biggest shock to me. If you have a slow, aging stomach, traditional health foods can actually be the enemy.
They really can. It is a hard truth to accept.
Giant bowls of raw salads, raw broccoli, raw onions, huge piles of lentils.
So many vitamins, yes. But they are also hard, tough, crunchy structures. They need a roaring fire in the stomach to break them down.
So what actually happens? Like if someone with a slow stomach eats a giant bowl of raw kale, what happens inside?
Well, picture the inside of your stomach. It is warm, dark, and wet. If the muscles are slow and the acid is low, that tough kale isn't breaking down. It is just sitting there in the warmth.
Oh, wow. So if you leave wet, crunchy plants in a warm, dark place?
It is exactly like a pile of white grass clippings in the sun. It ferments.
It ferments inside you.
Yes. And when food ferments, it creates gas. Tons of it.
So the stomach blows up like a balloon.
The pain can be terrible. And the sad part is the person is suffering because they were trying so hard to eat a healthy salad.
And then they skip the next 2 meals just to stop the pain.
Which completely defeats the goal of keeping their weight and strength up. The same thing happens with huge bowls of beans or lentils.
Great protein, but just too much work for a slow gut.
We have to adapt to the body we have today, not the body we had 30 years ago.
Right. And that adaptation isn't just about the grocery list. It is about the rhythm of the whole day.
The timing is just as important as the food itself.
There are a few basic rhythms that make all the difference, and the first one is probably the hardest habit for people to break.
Giving up the 3 big meals.
Yes. No more massive breakfast, massive lunch, massive dinner. Instead, you switch to 5 or 6 tiny, dense little meals every few hours.
It just matches the speed of the funnel. Keep the food moving, just never overload it.
And the second rhythm, this one is so simple but so clever, is taking a tiny, gentle walk right after you eat. Just 5 or 10 minutes.
We are not talking about exercise here. No sweating.
Right, just strolling around the house or the yard, but why does that help?
It is gravity and gentle movement. When you walk, it gently massages those stomach muscles. It actually encourages the stomach to empty faster.
A mechanical fix for a mechanical problem. I love that.
Yes, just helping the food slide down.
And the third rule is keeping a really strict schedule.
The body loves a routine.
Right. If your body knows that a little bowl of food always arrives at 10 in the morning and then another one at 1 in the afternoon.
It actually prepares itself. It gets the juices flowing before you even take the first bite.
But if you starve yourself for 6 hours and then drop a huge meal into an empty stomach.
Chaos.
Yeah.
The stomach is completely caught off guard. It is not ready.
Wow. And the last rule is choosing warm foods over cold ones.
A warm bowl of sweet porridge instead of an ice-cold bowl of cereal.
Why does temperature matter so much?
Warmth brings comfort. It naturally relaxes the muscles in the stomach and brings healthy blood flow to the area.
Like a heating pad for an aching back.
Exactly. But if you drop freezing cold milk into a slow stomach, the muscles tense up. They freeze, which is the absolute last thing you want when things are already moving too slowly.
It is just a collection of tiny smart choices. I mean, my neighbor, he went through this exact thing. He was losing his strength.
It is so common.
Right. He literally couldn't carry his groceries up the front steps anymore. His legs were shaking. But he didn't try to eat giant steaks to fix it. He just added a spoonful of peanut butter to his morning oatmeal.
Such a small change.
And he kept a little bowl of those soaked dates on the kitchen counter right where he could see them. So he just picked at them all day.
Just sliding the energy into his normal habits.
Exactly. And within a few weeks, his stamina came back, the bloating stopped, and he could carry his bags again.
Which is what people always ask, how fast does this work? And the truth is, when you stop fighting your stomach, the relief from the gas and pain can happen in just a few days.
And the strength comes back soon after.
Once the fuel actually starts absorbing, the body bounces back beautifully.
So if we pull all of these pieces together, what is the real message here? For the person listening or the person trying to help their parents? I think it boils down to this. Your aging body is not broken.
No, this is not a failure.
It is just asking to be treated a little differently. Keeping your strength up isn't a test of willpower.
You don't have to suffer through heavy meals.
Right. You don't have to curl up in pain. It is just about making small, gentle choices. The spoonful of ghee, the soft banana, sipping the smoothie slowly.
Working with your body instead of constantly fighting against it.
It is such a huge shift in how we think.
It really is. And, there's one last thing to think about here. Our whole culture tells us that eating well means sitting down to a massive, heavy plate 3 times a day. Like 3 loud alarms going off.
Yeah, big events.
But if we shifted our perspective, especially as we get older, what if we stopped looking at meals as heavy events? What if food just became a continuous, gentle hum in the background of our day? Tiny, warm, easy moments. Imagine how much pain and worry we could just leave behind.
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Wellness Geek Seniors has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same gentle way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can bring a real change in someone's life. And it helps Wellness Geek Seniors reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, look for the join button right next to the Wellness Geek Seniors logo below this video. Click it and become a member of the Wellness Support Circle. Your support helps honest health awareness reach thousands who are silently struggling. Wellness Geek Seniors moves forward because of you. Thank you so much from the heart for being here.